Probably the most terrifying thing you can do is to start putting yourself out there and start telling people about your brand and what you're doing. But guess what? That's exactly what we're going to talk about today. This is what you need to be doing, and I'm going to share with you why it's important to start sharing early on so that you have some followers by the time you launch. Hello everybody, welcome to The Thread. My name is Kendall. I'm a former mentor for people starting their fashion brands from scratch. I'm a Parsons graduate and I had my own women's wear line for 7 years. So today we are continuing with our foundation series, all about the little things at the beginning that you can do to get started on your brand that don't cost anything. Well, today they might cost a little something, but it's a pretty nominal fee. But these are things that you really need to be doing right at the beginning to set up a solid foundation so that by the time you launch and you have a brand, you will be set up for success, right? Okay, so we're talking about how to get eyeballs on your brand before you launch so that you're not launching to 0 people. And there's also a psychological aspect to why it's important to be sharing that I'm going to talk about. So first of all, let's go with the basics, the steps that I recommend. So at any stage in your business, it can be pretty early, it can be like a little bit later, it's never too late to do this, but as early as you like and feel comfortable with, as soon as you have your name and you've decided on your name, which go back and watch my episode about picking a name, how to make sure it's not trademarked, all of that good stuff. Once you're settled on that, at any point you can do the steps that I'm going to talk about. So number 1 is to create a landing page. I'm always surprised at how many people just don't do this. And then when I meet someone and they tell me about a brand, I'm like, well, okay, cool. Like, how can I follow you? And they have nothing to tell me. You got to have a place to send people. Okay, so it's very easy to create a landing page. You can use Shopify. I think you can do a landing page on Shopify. I'm not sure. I didn't research this beforehand. I'm just going off the top of my head. But look into Shopify. That's what I used. That's a platform I used for my brand when I had my website. Really like them. There's also Squarespace, and you can probably look up a number of other web hosting sites where you can just do a one-page landing page. So what you want on the landing page. First of all, you want to give people an idea of what your general aesthetic is going to be like. So I know you don't have anything to show yet, and that's okay. Can you put a picture or some pictures up there that give a similar vibe as to what you're going to be delivering so people can get excited? Then, your name, your logo, and a little bit about your brand. You don't need to tell your whole life story, but just a little blurb to get people excited, tell them what you're going to be delivering, what you're all about. And then step 2, this is very important, have it linked to an email list where you can capture people's email and put them on this list so that when you launch, you have some people you can email. I did this pretty early on when starting my brand, and I think when I launched, I had a good 100 people, which was great because otherwise it would have just been my family and friends and they would have pity bought from me because they're not my actual customer. So you want to have people that are your actual customers that are excited to be able to email once you are launching or getting close to your launch. This is very helpful. Otherwise you're launching to crickets. So what you can do is I would go kind of do a little bit of research and pick the email provider, email or newsletter list provider that you resonate most with. I used MailChimp and I always really liked them. I found them really easy to use. There's also one called, I think, ConvertKit, Constant Contact. There's several of them that you can go see which one looks like the easiest for you to use. But I do like MailChimp because they also have a free landing page feature. So if you're paying for your newsletter list, which it goes by the number of subscribers you have. So if you have very few, it's going to be very low cost. It's once you get up into the hundreds and thousands that it gets a lot bigger. So MailChimp does have this feature that they have this free landing page feature that you can somehow set up, and then the people that go on your landing page type in their email, it automatically goes to an email list for you. So this is really exciting. You definitely want to have an email list over just having a social media account, because your social media account could disappear at any time. For example, I spent years just organically building up my email list. I got to like over 2,000 people, and guess what? It got hacked recently. I've never been able to get it back. So all of that work that I put into it is just gone. But I will always have the emails of the people that have subscribed to want to join and know about my brand. I'll always have that. But your social media account, you don't own any of that really. So it could disappear. Okay, so we've got that going. We've got the landing page. We've got it hooked up to an email list. And then number 3 is that I would encourage you to start sharing now. So whether that's setting up an Instagram account or TikTok, I would pick something that you actually enjoy. Don't feel like you have to do all the social media. Don't feel like you have to do everything. Just pick one thing to start with and have it be something that you actually enjoy getting on and being on. So for example, Instagram. So can you get on and create an account for your brand? And even though you don't have anything to show yet, there are plenty of things that you could start sharing. And what sharing does is, first of all, it begins to establish you as an expert, right? So maybe, people always love behind the scenes stuff, right? So maybe you're sharing yourself behind the scenes, working on building your independent brand. That's always really fun for people. Maybe you're sharing, maybe your brand is like a sustainable brand and you're sharing little tidbits of knowledge about the fashion industry. Maybe you're sharing, maybe your brand is like you dye clothes, or maybe you make clothes yourself from fabric scraps. Maybe you share yourself like working on a new design or putting something together for yourself, or kind of like working on your patterns for your brand. That's really exciting, right? People love that stuff. So start sharing, and it'll start to build your credibility and make you, established as sort of an expert in your field, so that you have some credibility when you launch. People will be excited for this. People will be ready and primed for this. Another thing it does is it holds you accountable. So this is as much for you as it is for the rest of the people that you're sharing with. So for instance, before I started my brand, or even before I was working on my brand, I'd gotten to Parsons. We had moved out of New York, and I was like, what am I going to do now? Like, we moved to the Bay Area, but I was like an hour outside of San Francisco. So I was like, I feel like I'm a little too far outside to be able to get a job in the city. So I knew I wanted to do something in sustainable fashion. I didn't quite know yet. Wasn't totally for sure I was going to start a brand. So I created a blog. This is back when people read blogs more than they do now, probably. But I created this blog called The Eco Stylist. And, I just shared like ways to put outfits together, where to shop sustainably. Like, sustainable fashion we weren't as saturated with it as we are now. It was kind of like more exciting. And I also shared, facts about the fast fashion industry and stuff like that. And then I kind of transitioned to having an Instagram account where I would just create graphics, I guess memes, but they were more like just graphics with facts about sustainable fashion, or the fashion industry as it was. And so I'd share one of those every day, but it would take me a while to like research these topics. Let's say I was doing one on organic versus conventional cotton. It would take me quite a while to research these things, just to put together like a little short graphic. So over time, I didn't start sharing to become an expert, but over time, I feel like I gained so much knowledge in this field just kind of accidentally, more than I would have if I was, saying, oh, I'm gonna just educate myself and I'm gonna read books about this. Way more, because I was holding myself accountable to like the 3 people that might have seen my blog or my Instagram account. I was holding myself accountable. So I felt like I had to show up and do a good job and be accurate. So kind of the bonus effect of having that account and sharing was that it really increased my knowledge like a millionfold about the sustainable fashion industry, so that when I did start a brand, I already had a little bit of credibility. I also knew so much that I knew what I wanted to do in terms of fabric and fabric sourcing and, like, you know, packaging and all the sustainability components. I knew how to write about it. I knew how to talk to people about it. I knew how important it was. And you know, when I was making my website, it was easy for me to write all this stuff about sustainability because I was already really knowledgeable about it. So that's kind of a bonus to starting to share these things on a place or a platform that's visible to other people. Is you will be seen as an expert, and you will really become an expert in whatever it is you're doing, right? It doesn't have to be the same thing I did. So you could share a skill, like I said, you could share behind the scenes, you could share just inspiration pics if you just want to share like really cool visuals that kind of relate to what you're going to be doing. You could start a YouTube channel. I honestly would have loved to see like a behind the scenes of someone just starting a brand and what they do every day, what they work on. Like, that could be really cool. And then of course you can start a blog. I don't know if people truly like read blogs a lot, but I know that they're good for SEO. So when you have your website, you link your blog to your website, and all of those things that you've written about, that will help you become more visible when people search for those types of terms. And then that makes your page and your website and your brand more visible. So it can only help, right? I know it takes a little bit of time. There might be a little bit of cost for if you want to start a website or something like that, or start up a YouTube channel, but it's pretty nominal compared to, I think, what you're going to get out of it. So all you have to spend is really your time and your effort, right? Okay, so I hope that that helped you start to think about sharing, and, you know, think about your finding an email list, making a landing page. I'm sure there's lots of tutorials about that out there. I know that for Shopify, I'm not saying you have to use Shopify, but for example, Shopify has a YouTube channel with tons of tutorials. Like, you can learn anything. So that should be pretty easy to find. I just wanted to get you started, get you thinking about it. And yeah, I hope that this helped. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, please like, please subscribe. It really does help me. I kind of feel like now I'm starting this YouTube channel. It's back when I started my Eco Stylist blog. Like, no one is really watching yet, but I'm still doing it. I'm still doing my best. I'm getting value out of it. Hopefully I'm providing value. And so if I've provided any value to you, please help me out by liking and subscribing. Maybe this channel will get bigger. Who knows? That would be amazing. But I will see you guys in my next episode. Thank you again for watching. I'll see you guys really soon.